this Irish-British tension, and in fact, Isabel said I described it quite well, so I'll try again. In essence, according to Rishi Sunak, migrants are scared of the thought of Rwanda and have suddenly found a loophole whereby they can go to Northern Ireland and somehow get into the Republic of Ireland without a passport. This, of course, has resulted in the Republic of Ireland, who are part of the EU, did not in part take part in Brexit, saying, no, you've got to take these people back, to which Rishi Sunak has finally grown a pair and stood up, all 4'3" of him, and said, no, if we're supposed to do that, then we want to be able to send people back to France. The very stuff that Conservative commentators and Conservative voters have been crying out for, James Price, for months. And it does beg the question, why the hell has it taken this long for him to get out the traps and be a bit proactive? Don't get it.
I'm going to give the Prime Minister the benefit of the doubt here, not just because I did briefly used to work for him. I think that he inherited a difficult situation, and his natural inclinations to be very small c, conservative, steady the ship, steady as she goes, we're going to govern and be grown-ups and all these sorts of things. Actually, in good times, pretty admirable things to think. But the scale of the problems that we're facing are so enormous, and unfortunately, the scale of the electoral hits that the Tories will probably, sadly, suffer if we don't manage to turn things around now. It's finally focused the minds, and it's managed to get, I hope, that the politicians to start ignoring all of the civil servants who say, oh no, far too difficult, far too mean, we need to focus on our soft power in international institutions abroad and welcome all these people in, because the next Mozart is definitely left his family somewhere in some difficult country to cross over here on a boat from France, and has actually decided to put his foot down. I think it's excellent news. I think that the sad
it'll make a change? Do you think it'll make... I mean, I'm being completely serious, because immigration was one of those 5 boxes. We'll talk about how he's become a bit stronger on benefits in just a minute. But do you think it's too little too late? Or do you actually believe that that floating voter, that red wall voter will go, hold on a minute, suddenly he's saying I'm going to be strong on immigration. Suddenly, we'll talk about it in a minute, he's saying we shouldn't allow people to use the benefit system for their own rights. Do you think it's too little too late?
God, I really hope not. There's absolutely no love for the Labour Party. They've got no ideas. I think everything that's been going wrong recently will be going turbo wrong under Labour. There'll be far higher levels of immigration. The state will grow even more wasteful spending, less attempts to clamp down on benefits under Labour, all these sorts of things. If it is true that this Rwanda bill, having been so castigated, so criticised, so laughed at and all of the rest of it, is actually going to have a deterrent effect, as it sounds like it may already be doing, and putting people off from coming to the UK, that's an amazing thing that we should capitalise on and we should do more of.
Somebody wrote earlier and said, what about sending the migrants who shouldn't be here to the Falkland Islands?
Well, I do wonder whether we shouldn't maybe have tried some kind of sovereign territory like that. That might have been an option. And we could have, said, well, it's going to be a roulette and you don't know where you're going to end up. And people would go, oh, well, no, it's so expensive to do and to send all these people. It's not about sending every single person over, obviously. But if you think it might be you, that should lower
But Jay, we agree about this. It should be about processing as well. As 175,000. We should be able as a country to not just sit around going, oh, the Home Office isn't fit for purpose. Well, maybe they will fit for purpose, and process those people. Because there will be genuine people, I get that, but you'll never be... Listen, I've had stand-up rows. People have walked out of studios. You cannot tell me that every one of those 180,000 people has escaped a war-torn country. They haven't. They know the United Kingdom will treat them better. Now, there are genuine people. We proved it during Ukraine. But I don't swallow this. 80% of them are genuine refugees who have left war-torn countries. I don't swallow it.
And not a single one of them has left a war-torn country. They've all left France. Now, I get on the one level, there's something incredibly English about risking your life in a makeshift dinghy to not become French. I get that there's some, our old desire to have a pop at the French of these sorts of things. But, these people have come from France. And again, they are not children. They're not women. They're not the most vulnerable in societies. They are almost all sort of fighting age men who are all coming over here. And even if they were all Mozarts, and Aristotle's and the like coming over here, when you start having that kind of massive imbalance with a cultural difference as well, that's going to prove bigger problems down the line. Because it's not only the 40,000 odd illegal immigrants coming over here, we've also seen last year a record number, 700,000 net new migrants. And again, they could all be marvellous, wonderful people. I hope they are. I tried to make a guy called Nadim Zahawi, who came here when he was a child fleeing Saddam Hussein, and tried to make him prime minister. Right? He was the vaccines rollout guy. There are wonderful people out there, and it's great that we should be attracting the best kind of talent. However, we're not building enough houses, and we're not doing enough to integrate the people we've got here, which is why we see every Saturday people screaming for killing Jews and being pro-Hamas on our streets. We can't have anyone else in here until we've managed to assimilate those we've already got.
Finally, you're brilliant. I love you. Be on every week, please. The other thing the other announcement today, I would tune into Mike this morning, Morning Glory, and there was Mel Stride talking about how the government, again, I'm like, how frustrating is this? We're going to clamp down on benefits. I said earlier, James, that for me, one of the greatest things in our lifetimes is a system that says if you can't help yourself, we're going to help you. The people, the needy people. But we've got to a point, have we not, where there are people who just are gaming the system and not working. They're not disabled. They're not mentally ill. Those people, and I've heard from them all afternoon, absolutely should be helped. PIP, 1,000,000%. But I've had calls all afternoon from those people saying, we're missing out, and the people who shouldn't be taking advantage are being allowed by this system. And it's right that the Tories have called this out. But I ask you again, they could have called this out 2 years ago, 4 years ago, 6 years ago. To me, that's an absolute vote winner, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do think it was one of the great things that the early kind of coalition government managed to do. There was a situation where it made perfect economic sense for somebody to sit at home on benefits and not bother going to work. Right? That's a terrible thing. That really does, it causes decay, down family, down generations and things like that. And we have lost sight of that. But when I was checking what your dress code was going to be on this new format with your producer, Ryan, and I said, should I put on a shirt or can I wear my Reagan Bush 84 jumper that I was padding around the house in? Because Ronald Reagan said that the greatest social welfare program in the world is getting a job. And that gives you a sense of purpose, it gives you a sense of meaning, it allows you to contribute in the best way possible. And we should be encouraging everybody we can with the new technologies that we've got. Very few people are out there now breaking their backs in fields. We spend some money on automation to help pick fruit, to do all these kinds of things, and we can free people up who physically have more problems to go and do jobs that they can do behind computers like this now and feel that sense that they're contributing to their society. And we should be encouraging that every single day we've got left of this government.
Couldn't have agreed with you more on so much. James Price, political commentator, will be a regular on JK's Drive Time. Thank you very much indeed.